All right, welcome back, everybody, to the SYFY WIRE live stage here at New York City Comic-Con. My name is Mike Avila, and I am joined now by the creators of the hipster fantasy D&D comic series, Modern Fantasy, Kristen Gudsnuk, and Rafer Roberts. I was so worried about mispronouncing your name that I forgot yours. Rafer, Kristen, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Great to be here.
Yeah. Hey, the premise for this book is so interesting because it's fantasy D&D meets urban malaise. Tell us how you guys came up with the idea for this and what inspired it.
Mostly what inspired me originally was just getting a chance to work with Kristen on something. Just really liked her work on Hench Girl. I think I emailed you and said that you don't need to work with any other writer, but if you were willing, I would love to write something for you. And you gave me a prompt of something with magic.
Yeah,
then,
I was like, I like magic. We met at New York Comic Con a couple years ago at this very show.
Yes, this book does not happen without New York
Yeah, bringing
Comic-Con.
creators together.
happy anniversary.
But let's talk about that because that's kind of an interesting thing here. How did you guys meet? Just randomly at your table?
We were down in Artist Alley and we just started chatting and and we were like, let's work on a comic together because our vibes just really matched and
Yeah, it was really interesting. Because I was sitting down, you were handing out copies of Hench Girl
yeah,
#1.
I was trying to
Yeah.
promote myself.
And usually, it's a sad fact. A lot of people will hand you your comic, and you're like, "Yeah, this is good," and like you walk away. But it was like when I got a copy of Hench Girl, I sat down and read. I'm like, "Oh, this is really good. This is one of the best comics anybody's just randomly handed me."
Oh, thank you.
It was great.
We should say congratulations to you, Rafer, because you just got married.
Yes.
Just came back from your honeymoon.
Yeah, this is my honeymoon. Because I met my wife at a New York Comic Con a few years ago, also. So.
It's a great place to meet people.
Yeah, I can't stop coming here now. It's like everything that occurs to me for the rest of the year starts at New York.
Hold on, did you actually get away with planning a honeymoon?
It was
around
her
the
idea.
comic convention?
It was my wife's idea. We got married at Baltimore Comic Con last week because we knew a bunch of friends would be in town already and wouldn't have to pay for like airfare twice.
Your wife is a keeper, my friend. Your wife is a
definitely
keeper.
is.
Okay, let's get back to Modern Fantasy and let's talk about the themes here because you guys take the opportunity with this book to do some very wry commentary on actual life in the story and talk about that and what's informing that.
Well, I still actually have a day job, so a lot of the commentary that you're talking about comes from my own frustration with still having to go to an office every day and have to go to boring work meetings, and just imagining how much better they would be if my coworker was a religious fanatic barbarian talking about the warrior god Crag, or if these meetings were being run by wizards and harpies. Would be a lot more interesting than the doldrums that we go to.
Mm-hmm. And for me, as the artist, you know, I'm drawing the whole thing, and as I'm drawing it, I like to put in a lot of little gags and stuff. So a lot of that is just homage to the fantasy stuff that I was a huge fan of growing up. So there's like, for me, there's just like Mercedes Lackey and Lord of the Rings, those books, like they really informed a lot of like the stuff that's going on in there, so.
Yeah, and working with you on this book has been amazing because there's a lot of background gags and a lot of jokes and puns that I wouldn't have come up with myself. It's just that you're more knowledgeable about certain things in the fantasy world.
That's the great thing about collaboration. You bring two brains together.
Speaking of all the little details you add in there, world building is a key part of any good fantasy story. How seriously do you guys take it? Because some creators, like, you know, the Peonies, have built out a massive universe, right, with ElfQuest. How serious do you take the world building in modern fantasy?
Fairly seriously, but at the same time, we try to make it realistic. Ground in the realism of the everyday world. Like you walk out in the street, and instead of hailing a taxi cab, you're hailing a bus full of goblins and trolls and everything. So it's grounded in the realism, so you just look at the world around you and like, that is the world, and we'll just slap some dragons in there.
Also, I don't know, I also write, and I think as a writer, I mean, everyone has their own style and everything, but I think it's good to just you figure out the parts that are important to your story in terms of the world, and then you fill in enough details so it seems like there's a gigantic world, and then as you keep going with the writing, the world kind of reveals itself, you know, like through the story.
Kristen, I wanted to ask you about Hench Girl, which was a hoot. Tell us about that book and what else you're working on now.
Hench Girl is my first comic. It's about a girl who works for a supervillain, but it's just her crappy day job because she can't get a real job in this economy. And it's a lot of it's kind of just about coming of age in your 20s, but filtered through a superhero lens. So that was my first book, and that came out from Dark Horse as well. And also I just had a new middle grade graphic novel called Making Friends come out from Scholastic, which is really fun too.
Rafer, a lot of people remember your run on Archer and Armstrong. Another very funny book. You guys both clearly have a knack for writing comic books with a sense of humor, which is sorely lacking in the marketplace.
I find hard to write a book without a sense of humor, that even in the darkest periods, I'll throw in something that either lightens the mood or gives it a good contrast to make the dark parts seem even darker. Because it's awful. That sounds terrible.
What else do you have coming up? Could we see you back on a Valiant book, for example?
I don't have anything planned with Valiant at the moment, but the next book that I'm working on reunites me with Mike Norton, who I worked with on Archer and Armstrong. It's called Grumble. It's about a jerk wizard in the John Constantine framework who gets trapped in the body of a pug and has to escape the forces of good and evil with his half-demon estranged daughter, as they're just robbing and stealing their way across the United States.
How much free time do you have to daydream this stuff at your other job?
On the chance that anybody from my day job is watching, I'm going to say none. I work the entire time from clocking in to clocking out. I am the best employee, and I don't ever goof off or do anything else while I'm on the clock.
And how long can we expect modern fantasy to go on? Is it an ongoing? Do you have a finite amount of books?
We want to continue it. Currently, we pitched it as a miniseries, so it was 4 issues, and so it kind of tells a contained story. But hopefully there will be more, maybe a year or so, hopefully.
Yeah, so like the 4th issue, the miniseries just concluded, I think about a week ago. Yeah. The collection will be out early next year, and fingers crossed we get to do more, but I think a lot of that's up to everybody out there, just talking to Dark Horse and letting people know how much they enjoyed modern fantasy and want to read some more.
Lastly, before I let you guys go, what cosplay do you hope to see here before you leave New York Comic Con? What's the cosplay that you want to see before you leave here?
I'd love to see a lizard wizard costume.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, we've already had 1 or 2 cosplayers come to our signings in a Sage and Darkwing.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to see some sort of reptilian slacker in an open wizard robe just wandering around in like his tighty whities.
Does anything make you as a creator feel prouder than seeing somebody cosplaying your characters for the first time? Because there's Spider-Man costumes all over the place, but to see one of your characters?
Those people are the coolest because they're the ultimate hipsters because they're cosplaying a very indie comic.
Yeah, if somebody's a big enough fan to actually go out and like construct the costume and wear the clothes of one of our characters,
that's the awesome.
It's a huge compliment.
Guys, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks
Give it up for the creators of Modern Fantasy. Don't forget, keep following us here for more fun from the live stage, and keep following the hashtags It's a Fan Thing and hashtag NYCC. And coming up next, we have the cast of Blind Spot.
I'm Jackie Jennings with SYFY WIRE. If you can't get enough of New York Comic Con, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel for news, interviews, cosplay, and so much more. What are you waiting for?